having people who are curious and who are willing to roll up their sleeves and really not be afraid of failing. And I've given permission for that, right? Like, we're not always going to get it right. The machine might get it wrong, and, we'll just watch it and fix it.
Hey there, welcome to the AI Sidekick, the show designed to help you banish your AI anxiety. I'm your host, Ryan Heath, from Robin AI. Today I'm joined on the podcast by Yvonne Schroeder, Chief Legal Officer and a trusted advisor to CEOs. She's built and scaled legal departments in fast-growth, high-pressure environments across all forms of tech, software, manufacturing. Now at LogicMonitor, Yvonne's got a full plate advising on compliance, cybersecurity, risks of all kinds, and much more than that. She is someone who has consistently been ahead of the curve. So obviously, that's why she's decided to join the podcast. So Yvonne, welcome to the AI Sidekick.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Ryan.
You're very welcome. Now, you've led legal teams through rapid changes at places like Trojan Battery, now at LogicMonitor. Can you share a moment or two when you realized that sort of the old playbook for legal hiring and operations just no longer worked, and how you adapted to that realization?
I realized that when I came to LogicMonitor. I walked in, high growth company, no law function, and little resources in terms of here's a ton of money for you to spend on people. And so if you don't have money to spend on people, it might be easier to get an approval to spend it on machines. And so early on, a couple years ago, we started our journey using technology to help us be able to scale to $1 billion company.
When you're looking at how you hire people and build teams and train them, what in your mind is sort of true fluency in AI and legal technology these days? And how do you sort of assess it when you're trying to hire people or buy a piece of tech?
With respect to the people, I think that's a really good point, especially with the introduction of the LLM models that have come in the last couple of years. Having people who are curious and who are willing to roll up their sleeves and really not be afraid of failing. And I've given permission for that, right? Like, we're not always going to get it right. The machine might get it wrong, and, we'll just watch it and fix it. I've been fortunate enough to hire that way. So I've got one person on my team who learned how to code, right? Just so that he can do the model correctly, right?
Remember when everyone was being told they had to code? Like that was the new thing for everyone in high school, and wow.
Yeah, well, and now it's like it's become reality. Like it really, really needs to happen, but not to the level that this person did, right? I think that lawyers can learn how to prompt very well. We think a certain way, we think logically, we think in layers, and that's how these machines like to get their instructions. So we're better built for it. But you do have to find people who have the patience to do that are kind of gritty. And then you need a leader who says, go ahead and break something if you need to, so that we can make it right.
I love what you said about the tolerance for mistakes, where I feel like a lot of people set this sort of bar of perfection around a piece of technology, and we forget that we make mistakes as humans as well all of the time. So I'm really glad that you sort of picked up on that, or that you're injecting that into your teams.
Well, and even into the company, by the way, we have a legal chatbot. Her name's Edna, and people are going to ask questions, but we need to socialize her so that people get to use her, right? And when I do send out messages to different teams, when Edna's been updated with the information to answer the kinds of questions that team asks, I'll send something out and I'll say, well, here's Edna. Ask her questions, but also break her. And if you break her, let us know, because we need to fix her. Right? So we don't assume it's right, and we make sure that people know that she may sometimes answer incorrectly.
And has anyone broken her so far?
Well, what we've seen Edna do is go beyond the bounds that we've given her. So she'll answer the questions of the information we gave her right, but then they'll ask her a question that she should not be answering. And then I'll get an answer like, I'll get someone saying, oh, she answered this question about X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh my gosh, Edna's not supposed to be doing that.
We often find sometimes that accuracy is not always the challenge. So our tools will accurately tell you where something is in the contract or what you should be worried about in the contract, but they don't always get the stylistic concerns right. So, our new metric is not just accuracy, but does it fit in with the in-house
style of the law function. And that's why the prompting is so important, because I think that without detailed prompting, what you're going to get are red lines to documents that are just full wholesale revisions. And when you do that and you're trying to sell something, the procurement team or the lawyer on the other end, who you hope is going to be buying from you, is going to get pissed off, because I know I do, right? So tweaking the machine to that place where it feels more like a human went through it is an imperative for us.
And for you, is that having a really detailed prompt up front, or is it a step-by-step
Yes,
process?
it's a very detailed prompt up front.
Oh, that's interesting. Like when I'm looking at sort of not legal text, but communication texts, it's often a multi-stage process. So you get one draft back and then you say, now consider the fact that this is a 40-year-old lawyer that is sort of dealing with this document, and then you ask it to tweak it. But that's interesting that you want to do it all up front there.
Especially for the contracts, right? If it's a letter, I think it can be, like you said, progressive. But for the contracts, because first impressions count, right? It needs to go out in the closest to human format like we would do it.
Yep, exactly. Thinking now about some of the evolving skills that are needed here, as the CLO, sort of how do you try and set the tone for people to sort of learn on their own, or to mandate certain courses that they might sort of need to take, so that they're in that zone of taking the calculated risks around AI?
Most of my team is quite young. And so the message is, here are the tools, and they're tools not only to make you good at this job, but for future jobs. And if you don't learn this here in the future, you're not going to get in the door. You're just not going to get in the door. So you need to do this for yourselves. And everyone has bought in, like the enthusiasm on my team using AI. We use it for everything, like everything. And it's really, really wonderful. And everyone is happier because of it, because there was a moment where people were talking about, feeling exhausted and the amount of work that we have. And a lot of it's grunt work, right? Like reading the same types of provisions over and over gets boring, and redlining them gets boring. So when you have a machine at least help you with that first initial red line and give you some space to breathe and focus on some fun projects, that where you actually feel that you're moving the company forward from a maturity level, that kind of empowers everyone and makes everyone happy, which makes me happy.
And maybe actually get home in time for some West Coast sunsets, so you're not just stuck in the office. You've worked across a lot of different sectors, from energy to SaaS to manufacturing. Can you think of anyone sort of that you've worked with on a different piece of technology in any of those sectors where they really surprised you? Someone who you thought, this is the last person who's ever going to sort of pick up this new way of working?
Frankly, I think the new way of working came for me really in the current role, right? I've been here 5.5 years, and that dramatic change happened in that role. You do need a certain kind of person to work with these tools. And if they're like stuck in their ways or stubborn about how something can be, that's just not going to work, because this technology is changing every single day, right? Every time you turn around, it's like, oh my gosh, I can do something new, right? So, and identifying people like that in the interview, I think is hard, right? I don't know what law firms are doing to prep their associates to this new world order. I have no idea. I've been so far away from law firms in a long time that, if I was looking at someone coming from a law firm, an associate, I would be more unsure than if they were working at a company because at a company, you're almost forced to. It's a necessity.
But I think we're seeing some of those same problems with law schools where you kind of, whether it's in-house or law firm or a government role they go into, you kind of like, you have to retrain the graduates or train the graduates for the first time on how to actually be a lawyer, because a lot of the legal grounding that they're getting isn't really connected to the day job, let's say. And I think it's probably going to become increasingly true with AI, like unless the AI becomes part of the curricula.
Well, one of my concerns more on a philosophical level is, how do the young attorneys become, an attorney who has 20, 30 years of deep legal experience, who can make judgment calls without all the information in front of them. If AI, so let's say they come out of school and they're using AI for everything, let's say, well, then where are their learning grounds?
Yeah.
Right?
They won't know what they don't know because
Right, because the
it always
machine's
has
been
a crutch.
telling it,
Yeah.
doing it for them. So it's kind of this double-edged sword, right? So for a certain generation, it's a great leap forward. You can get things done faster, because you have confidence also in the knowledge that you have, so that when you review it, you know that it's not spitting out junk. Um, but someone who's very young might not know that. I have deep concern for the legal profession in that regard.
And is there a flip side of that where we're going to have that problem with the pipeline of the junior lawyers, like how to progress them to, let's call it the CLO and the partner stage, but then it's kind of opening up the involvement of different teams into legal tasks where I wouldn't say you go off and send every team in the company to do the job of the legal department, but some of that initial, like, please check these contracts, and only come to us with the 5 questions you really need answered.
Oh, it'll get there at some point. I mean, we've got these ethical duties to review everything, right? So we've got to balance our ethical duties as lawyers against, getting the work out there quickly. Sometimes my team laughs at me. I think I'm a little more progressive than them sometimes, where I'm like, okay, well, let's see if we can get the machine to do the first red line. If we're happy and it's an 80% accuracy, the other side's going to catch the stuff that doesn't make sense. And they look at me like, oh no, we're not. But I'm like, if we really want to run fast between one party and the other, we're going to catch any mistakes.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, like, there is the risk. Like, you could run that experiment fully and hit a problem, but you won't know the relative nature of the problem unless you actually conduct the experiment. Like, you have to go out and try.
So my team's not ready for that yet, but I think that at some point the technology will get there where they will feel comfortable doing that.
Very good. Now, like, moving to sort of some more fun questions, like if I listed out a bunch of traits that you think or that I think could be important to legal professionals over the next decade, could you pick the one that you think is the most important?
I think curiosity, and I think combined with agility, right? Because you gotta be able to pivot. Things are moving so fast on us, that if you're not pivoting with the technology, you're gonna be, left behind.
Now, if you could think of one power to give an AI sidekick, imagine you've got a magic wand here. It could be work related, it could be non-work related. Like, what is the thing you'd wave that magic wand for and ask the AI to be able to solve in your life?
Oh, for me, it's funny, I'm not able to get the AI to, like, draw things as I see them. So it's more artistic. I'm going, "That's what I asked you for? No, that's not what I asked you for." And then it's not like writing a document where you say, "Okay, now consider this." When you tell the AI about something that it's made for use of, something that's, an illustration, and you say, "Well, now add this to it," it changes the illustration in its entirety, and you're like, "How did that happen?" And when you're working with documents, it works differently. So I'm not sure how to fix that yet, but I'm sure
Yeah,
I will.
you just gave me an idea though. I cannot sing to save myself at all. Um, but I could maybe record my voice and then make the AI sing with my voice the way I should be able to sing it. Final question, sort of what's coming up next for Logic Monitor? What are like the big sort of strategic questions on your mind for how to sort of build out the legal team and keep ahead of the curve with tech for the rest of the year?
Well, for us, it's really about just using it to its full extent so that we can get as much productivity out of it and create, efficiency for us. And like I said earlier, just give our team the time to work on things that are more fun.
Thank you, Yvonne, for joining us as an AI
Thank you,
sidekick
Ryan.
in this podcast. Thanks for tuning into the AI Sidekick. I hope you're now feeling more confident about implementing AI into your business. If you found today's conversation valuable, be sure to subscribe and share it with your colleagues. For more insights or to see how Robin AI can help you make contracts simple, check out robinai.com. See you next time.